Especially if y'all been out here, because some of y'all be having 3-4 girls at a time.
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about dating to marry. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you dating a whole bunch of people. I'm not talking
be dating
about
3 or 4 people and then get married the next week.
EJ, this is not what this is not what we doing here. This is not what we talking about and promoting here.
Okay, I'm just trying to be.
No,
you don't know what's gonna come across.
Okay, so you promote what we talking about. We don't have to and be all inclusive with that.
Okay.
That flugazi.
I think it's still tricky though.
I don't think so, cause you did it.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You're trying to make it very convoluted and confusing. If you are dating to marry, you can start the process of setting boundaries.
Oh, okay. We're starting the process. The boundaries ain't set yet. We just
yes, there are boundaries. You already have boundaries as yourself as an individual person. In your relationship, you should have boundaries because you're not gonna let anybody talk to your girl any type of way, say anything any type of way. If your girl says something to you about your family, then you have that conversation. You're gonna respect and acknowledge what she says. That's there. If you want to do something, you're gonna say, "Hey, babe, I want to go out." People who are dating do that all the time. "Hey, babe, my parents want me to come home. What you got going on this weekend?" It's the same thing.
When I was single, I moved.
Just stop, because you did.
I moved.
I cannot.
I moved how I wanted to move, and then I got married and things changed. Nah, she's right. She's right.
Sorry, I got a little.
I know, but that makes good content. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage Conversation. My name's EJ.
My name is Nikia.
And we are the McDuffies.
What?
So today,
What are you laughing for?
we're going to be talking about an important topic. I mean, all the topics are important in my opinion.
I forgot what we're talking about. It's going to be a surprise to me.
We're talking about leaving and cleaving.
You need to insert that clip from Jumping the Broom.
Yeah. So
Left and cleft.
yeah. So it's an important topic because, in my personal opinion, I feel like everybody may not understand what that means as it relates to their marriage. And so I guess I'll just start with laying some substrata for you.
Word of the day. I don't even know what that means.
So for me, leave and cleave means my parents raised me up to become a man. And when I asked Nikia to be my wife, and that was performed at the marriage ceremony, from there on, I became Nikia's responsibility and she became my responsibility. And so no longer is it the responsibility of my parents to take care of me, to make sure that I'm fed, all of those types of things. And Nikia is number one as it relates to my responsibilities. So, and again, this is gonna sound harsh because everybody may not believe this way, but this just is a biblical principle and a biblical explanation. So it's God, then my wife, then everybody else, or the kids, then everybody else. Okay. And so, that means that my parents, my siblings, my friends, all of those people come after my wife and my immediate family. And so,
immediate kids. What?
My immediate kids, but you know what I mean. So again, that's my understanding of the scripture and my understanding of leave and cleave. And I know that everybody may not subscribe to that way of thinking and to that ideology, but that's the way that I interpret it. What about you?
I was trying to find the scripture real quick.
Okay.
And cleave. Share it with the people.
Yeah, so y'all can go and look it up for yourself and get your own interpretation of it. You found it?
Search on the Bible app.
Give me 2 seconds, y'all.
Oh, here we go. Bible verses.
Oh.
Genesis 2:24.
Genesis 2:24.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
Yeah.
That's the King James version.
King James.
It says Genesis 2:24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah. But like I was saying earlier, like it says a man, and I mean I know that could be interpreted different, but what I was saying, my mom and dad groomed me up to be self-sufficient.
Oh, so this was after God had created Eve for Adam.
Harper, what are you doing?
Why are you walking down the stairs?
With heels on?
You got shoes on?
Yeah.
You got on my red shoes?
Yeah.
Okay, we're trying to record. All right, go ahead.
Put them away.
Thank you.
But this is after God had created Eve for Adam because he was lonely. And then, oh, that's my pen. And then Adam says, at last, the man exclaimed, this one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. She will be called woman because she was taken from man. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Now the man and the wife are both naked. Oh, but there we go.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you got a whole biblical lesson.
Alright,
So, yeah, what's your
this
understanding?
makes sense. I feel like leaving and cleaving is you are not dependent on your parents anymore, and you are self-sufficient, and also you take on the responsibility of another person. So you're able to take care of yourself as well as take care of another person, and that pertains to marriage, that's your spouse. So, and I agree with EJ when he said your spouse comes first. And in our order, it's God, spouse, children, then family. So if my husband comes to me and needs something, and my daddy come to me and needs something, it's my husband first. And my daddy shouldn't be coming to me first for something because he has a spouse, so he should go to her first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a chain of command in a sense, and I feel like it just makes sense because in marriage, if you choose to have a family, you're gonna have kids, but your kids are only with you for an appointed time. So once they get older, they're gonna do their own thing. So you have to be good within your marriage because you can't just be here for the kids. And once the kid leaves or kids leave, you're gonna be sitting there looking at each other like, who is this person? So that's why it's important to cleave. And when I was Googling leave and cleave, it also said leave, cleave, and weave.
Oh, I never heard that before. Can you give an example of what it may look like?
What?
Leave and cleave. Or example of when somebody's not leaving and cleaving.
I think an example is, what always comes to mind is Act Like a Man. That movie where he's like, he changed his mom's name in his phone to get with the girl and lying about who he's spending time with and stuff like that.
Oh, Terrence J's character.
Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to that point where you don't necessarily sever ties, but even his mom in that movie realized that you have to go on and be your own person and live your life. Parents are just here to be nurturers and guides for you for a temporary time and teach you hopefully how to be a good person in general so that you can go out in the world and flourish. But sometimes we get so attached to our parents that we create like this symbiotic relationship where we can't leave them. Like we need them for every single thing. We have to ask them for advice. Anytime they call to ask us to do something, we have to jump. Which not to say you can't do things for your parents, but when you have your own family, because two people who are married, even without kids, they're a family. So when you have your own family, those are your priorities. And I think people become so dependent on their parents. And I think even it can look like you get married, but you don't move out of the state or city that you live in because you want to be close to your parents, even though you're married. And you need them so you can call them and be like, hey, I need money for this, or so-and-so made me mad and I need to tell you this.
Yeah.
So I think that can be another way of not leaving and cleaving, because at some point you should be able to leave and cleave to your spouse and be able to talk to them about the issues that's going on, or be more self-sufficient, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, I think you said something earlier too that I want to go back to when you were talking about a spouse being so infatuated with like the kids and not focusing on the other spouse. And again, I'm no expert or anything, but I feel like a lot of times in my personal experience, I've seen couples who were married for 30 years, the kids graduate high school and college, and then they get a divorce. And I'm like, man, what in the world could have went wrong after, 30 years of marriage? And I know, again, I'm no expert, and this is me assuming that I know what happened in these relationships. But I would like to think that a lot of times, like the stay-at-home moms, like all they knew were kids and dad traveling and doing his thing and stuff like that. Like I'm sure that had something to do with it. Like for 30 years you were gone traveling, and for 30 years I was at home with these kids, and now we sitting here looking at each other. I don't know you as an adult, you don't know me as an adult. And we talked about this on a previous episode, that people change within the course of a marriage. And I expect my kid to change. I expect myself to change in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And I think it's important that you keep your spouse number one. And it's important to keep like date nights and having conversations and things like that. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a situation where divorce may be an option or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's where the weave comes in, because even if you are a stay-at-home parent, there are people who have, flourishing relationships, and there's a stay-at-home parent, and one person may be outside of the house, but you have to create those moments where you weave your lives together. Like, even though one person stays home and take care of the kids, the other person should have experiences with the kids as well, and also with that person and the kids. Your life shouldn't be so separate. Like, there should be some point where you come together. Like, I just read this article about celebrities who have unconventional relationships. Like, one of them lives on one coast and one lives in the other, or they have separate houses, which, I mean, for that relationship that may work, but in all of the different relationships that I read about, they said, oh yeah, we always come together. We see each other like every 3 weeks or every whatever time. So that works for their relationship. If you can see your person every 3 weeks and that works, that's fine. If you need to see your person every day, that works and that's fine. But at some point you have to come together. You have to have some type of shared experiences. It's like being in a group of people and they have all these inside jokes and you're just sitting there like, you don't want to be the outside person when there's inside jokes in your marriage. Like, that would make me I would be mad. Like, if I went somewhere and either just laughing, kikiing with everybody, and I'm just sitting there like, why don't I know anything? Why don't I know what's going on?
Yeah, that does happen a lot though. Because we got a lot of New Bern jokes that, I mean, you from New Bern, but not from New Bern. So I know sometimes when we get to talk about like the olden days.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't happen often.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm talking about like right now.
Oh, right.
Like, if you were to get together with Dave and Jazz, all four of us were to get together, and y'all three had some jokes, and you was like, you just had to be there, Kia. Like,
Kia just had to be there.
No, yeah. And I think Dave would feel the same way too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I wouldn't say nothing in the moment, but I was gonna be like, so, what was that about?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like
being interviewed?
Yeah, always. I mean, I give my input too.
Amen.
But yeah, just about the black community, because I feel like leaving Cleave in the black community may be a little bit of a struggle, just because like we are the reverence that we have for our parents and things like that. I think sometimes the lines may get blurred a little bit.
I think in the black community, one thing is we kick our children out of the house when they turn 18. I feel like...
I'm surprised that you're saying it's good though.
Like you say, once you graduate, you gotta leave. I don't know where you're gonna go. I feel like that's
college,
one.
military.
Yeah, I feel like, no, let them establish themselves.
Okay.
And I feel like leaving Cleave doesn't necessarily have to be you move out of the house. So I feel like that's one caveat where we want to kick them out, so they just out there like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. So I feel like that has a negative effect on us in the black community. And again, leaving Cleave doesn't have to be, like I said, leave the house. I've lived with my parents while I was married. My brother lived with my parents for half of his marriage at this point. So I don't necessarily think it has to be a physical or proximity thing. I think it's more so of a mindset.
Yeah.
Some people may need to move physically to get that mindset, but it's more of a mindset of, okay, I have now decided to bond my life with this person. And when you do it with marriage and you have a legally binding contract to this person that makes you family, because that is the only way we're related. That's the only way we can speak for one another, is having that legal piece of paper, you know, outside of being in love and all that stuff. So I feel like you have to like shift your mindset to say, okay, I've spent the time invested in this person. I have chosen this person, because you cannot choose your family. Whatever you say, you know, friends, family, whatever. Yeah. But you cannot choose your family. The family you get is the family you get.
Right.
So you have chosen this person to be a part of your family. So you now need to prioritize that. That's like I go to the grocery store and I buy some fruits and vegetables. I'm going to prioritize that fresh fruit over eating that frozen stuff, because it's going to expire if I don't pay attention to it, if I don't use it, if I don't implement it in my cooking or whatever. So you have to put that person first in all aspects. And I feel like it may need to be a conversation with your family. If they don't respect the boundaries that you are setting, then that needs to be a conversation that you have. But it has to be a mindset shift, and people will see it in your actions. Like, they'll know, like, our friends, we all have date nights. So if one of us calls each other and be like, hey, can you go out on this night? And be like, no, that's date night. It's not gonna be like, no, come on, you gotta go, cancel, push it back, change it. We respect those boundaries. Like, we know date night is sacred. It's date night. It's not, unless the relationship or the couple cancels it, you ain't nobody else, outside person coming in and canceling that. So I think you have to have that same mindset in moving with leaving and cleaving. Because I feel like a lot of people, like in the Black community, we're scared of setting boundaries with our family. And you don't have to be disrespectful in it. It just has to be boundaries. And I think we mentioned this in a previous episode about gentle parenting. Like, we set boundaries with how Harper was going to be disciplined and treated with our family respectfully. Did they all like it? No. But that's what it was, and that's what it's going to be, and that's what it is. So you just have to know, like, what are your boundaries? What are the limits you're going to set? And I keep thinking about that conversation where people say, if you're riding in the car with your girl or your wife and your mom who sits in the front seat, it's like,
I let them fight over it. I ain't getting
it's like, I feel like you should be like, okay, my wife can sit in the front seat and she can choose whether she wants to relinquish that.
Yeah.
Because she's first.
Yeah. I think all of these scenarios are like running through my head. So say before we got married, right? It was me, and I was like already financially sound, and I had been giving my mama $1,000 a month for whatever she needed to use it for. And then we got married, and I'm not able to do that and take care of home, but I can't cut my mama off. Like, how would that make you feel as a wife?
Baby, you're gonna have to cut that low. I mean, just take her down notch by notch. Because how you gonna take care of somebody else's house and you can't take care of your house? That don't make sense.
And I feel like people do this though. Like, I know that was just a scenario that I was throwing out, but I feel like people do that. Like, they are more concerned with taking care of their parents, and I get it. Like, your parents have done a lot for you, and they have, send you to the best schools. But that's what they were supposed to do, and that's what they chose to do. Right.
You owe your parents nothing, and that's what parents got messed up. You don't owe y'all nothing.
That's another harsh reality. But in the Black community, I just feel like a lot of times that happens where we taking care of home, and we're taking care of home for so long that when we try to leave, it's like, oh, EJ, you changing up, bruh. You acting funny. Like,
you gotta be like Mirabelle and Encanto. You gotta stand up to Abuela. Let her know she wrong.
So,
what do you want? Use your words.
Yeah, why are you just pointing?
Just wait. There's snacks down here in this Ziploc bag. Gosh, we get so hungry when we start recording. But yeah, I feel like you gotta have those conversations. And that's a conversation you need to have before you get married. I don't want to find out we get married, you sending your mom $1,000, but the bills is late every other week. No,
Hey, but I'm paying my mama at the beginning of the month.
No, ma'am.
And then I'll just pay the late fee at the end of the month because I'm going to have the rest of the money.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, too, is another example is like you so in love with your parents that your parents know more about your life than your spouse does. Like, how...
EJ be slipping up.
No, I do not.
Oh, you ain't tell me that. No.
Yeah, you're right. That's you. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, no, it's you.
No.
You.
Nakia talk to her mama every day, y'all. 3-4 times a day.
He talked to his mama every day too.
No, I did
Every day we
not.
come upstairs. Let me talk to Val. I ain't talked to Val today.
I talk to my mama about every other day or every 2 days.
EJ,
It's not
about
every day.
5 out of 7 days a week.
Okay. I'll check my call log right now. At any rate, it's not... I don't think that we have a leave and cleave issue. Does Nakia talk to her mom all the time? Yeah. But I think that there's a healthy balance where, like, if her mom asks her to do something or to go vacation, whatever it is.
Let me check with my husband.
Yeah, let me check with my husband first and see.
You got an accountability partner.
Yeah, like your parents you can grow up and have a great relationship with your parents and they can be your best friend, but you still got to have those boundaries. I think Nakia kind of summed up this whole conversation. It's the boundaries, and you set those boundaries from day one. Especially like from marriage. So like, hey, all right, Nakia is my wife, and this is what it is. But I also think, and I stole this from Dave many moons ago, like you got to teach people how to either love you or teach people how you expect to be treated and how you expect your marriage to be treated. And so like I don't have those types of problems in our marriage. Like my parents already know, like check with Nakia, or look, EJ, we want you to come home this weekend, see what you and Nakia got going on first. I'm not gonna drop everything and run home. I'm not gonna drop everything and send my mama $1,000 a month. Now if she need it and she down on hard times, absolutely. Right. But I still gotta check with Nakia first. It's not like, hey, I sent my mama some money today. It's like, hey, my mama needed this. Can I do that?
I mean, certain amounts you can send without asking.
Yeah.
But you get to the thousands. You ain't never sent me $1,000. Can't even get him to send me $50 for Mother's Day.
Yeah, Nakia got her own money. But I think leave and cleave is important, and I think for the sake of your marriage, like if you don't have healthy boundaries, you need to establish those or start to establish those.
And I think they can even start when you're dating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, go ahead. What you
I'm
gonna
just
say
saying, I feel like it starts when you're dating, especially if you're dating to marry. So you're not just gonna be dating any and everybody. So the person that you're bringing around, you can see potential in marrying them. So I think the boundaries, start there. Because I feel like even when we were dating, it was the same vibe.
Yeah, but you be careful though. You playing, in my opinion, I feel like you playing with a little bit of like thin ice, in that regard. Cause you ain't proposed to my daughter or you or my husband.
But there's still healthy boundaries. Like,
oh yeah.
You're not telling your family everything about your relationship.
Oh,
you're not
okay.
excluding that person. They know stuff about you. Like you're there. If you're dating to marry, you should be. I think it's the same thing. It's not leaving and cleaving, but you're setting those boundaries.
Oh, okay. All right. No.
You're already,
that part.
Yeah, there's boundaries even when you're dating.
Yeah, there are boundaries. I thought you were saying the same thing for like leaving and cleaving. Like, nah.
Boundaries. I think leaving and cleaving, it's a boundary. It's all boundaries. That's the the ultimate marriage boundary is leaving and cleaving. But
even in your relationship, to that.
Yeah, even your relationship, you start priming it up because you don't want to be like, now that I'm married, okay, now I got to check with so and so. Now I got to check with so and so. You should have been doing that when y'all were dating.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Period.
Fair enough. I think it still could be tricky though.
It's gonna be tricky in marriage too.
Yeah, but I'm saying especially if y'all been out here. Because some of y'all be having 3-4 girls at a time.
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about dating to marry. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you dating a whole bunch of people. I'm not talking
about dating
about
3 or 4 people and then get married the next week.
EJ, this is not what this is not what we doing here. This is not what we talking about and promoting here.
Okay, I'm just trying to be.
No.
You don't know how it's gonna come across.
Okay, so you promote what we talking about. We don't have to and be all inclusive with that.
Okay.
That flugazi.
I think it's still tricky though.
I don't think so, because you did it.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You're trying to make it very convoluted and confusing. If you are dating to marry, you can start the process of setting boundaries.
Oh, okay. We starting the process. The boundaries ain't set yet. We just
yes, there are boundaries. You already have boundaries as yourself as an individual person. In your relationship, you should have boundaries because you're not gonna let anybody talk to your girl any type of way, say anything any type of way. If your girl says something to you about your family, then you have that conversation. You're gonna respect and acknowledge what she says. That's there. If you want to do something, you're gonna say, "Hey, babe, I want to go out." People who are dating do that all the time. "Hey, babe, my parents want me to come home. What you got going on this weekend?" It's the same thing.
When I was single, I moved.
Just stop, because you did.
I moved.
I cannot.
I moved how I wanted to move, and then I got married and things changed. Nah, she's right. She's right.
Sorry, I got a little.
I know, but that makes good content.
Because EJ was like,
You gotta
you know, and then you're not bringing nobody around your family that you ain't serious about.
People do that all the time.
Who? Not these people.
Not the crowd that we.
Not y'all. Not our audience. No.
Okay. Cool.
Absolutely not. We talking about monogamy and marriage and how sexy it is.
Yeah. Oh God.
If you're not with that, you on the wrong channel and podcast.
You're on the wrong show. Okay. All right. Well, I think that kind of something flew my. I think that sums it up for today.
Yep. Leave, cleave, and weave.
Hyper.
Leave, cleave, and weave.
Yeah, I think that sums it up for me.
I like that weaving part.
Yeah, I've never heard that before, but I think the weave piece could be a lot of different things, but definitely like weaving in your family and your friends and being inclusive and including your wife on decisions or your spouse on decisions
Well,
and
weaving
things
in
like
this
that.
sense is about creating your own lives together.
So becoming one. Yeah, but I think that also my extended family is also a part of us being one.
No, it's talking about.
That's my interpretation.
You're wrong.
No, that was my interpretation.
Because it is. There's no evidence to support that from the text.
Yeah, the text was wrong too. She got that from Webster somewhere. I don't know.
No, I see that, but I feel like you have to establish your.
Oh, right.
Before you bring in other weaves.
Yeah, and I think like we still newlyweds, and so it's very important to have that. Yeah, it's important to have that firm foundation. Because you don't want to have too many people coming in and y'all doing all these different things and y'all on some sand. Because every little thing will just knock your marriage off. But when you got a nice firm foundation, then you don't have to worry about all of the outside stuff. You know, you got your repellent on. So that's what I would say. Focus on your foundation. You know, leaving and cleave, set that foundation, and then you can start to weave in some of those other things. But like he said, maybe it starts when you're dating, so you ain't got too much weaving to do.
You know, maybe it does.
All right, whatever. So we appreciate y'all. That's it for this episode. You know, drop down in the comments. Let us know what y'all think about leave, cleave, and weave. You know, we might get that on some t-shirts. Leave, cleave, and weave.
Sorry about that. You know, y'all, I was talking about weaving. I don't know if I got to finish it. EJ just threw me off.
I'm going to cut that part out, so you don't have to worry about it. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Until next time. Peace.